You've seen this moment more times than you can count. She says she's unsure. She says she needs time. She says she doesn't really know what she wants right now. And you hear uncertainty. You hear indecision. You hear a door that's still open if you just wait long enough or do the right thing next. But that's not what's actually happening. What feels like confusion on the surface is often certainty underneath, just not the kind you're listening for. While you're focused on what she hasn't decided yet, something else has already been decided quietly, internally, without a conversation. This is the part men rarely see. Rejection doesn't usually arrive as a clear no. It arrives as delay, as vagueness, as emotional fog. She keeps things undefined, not because she's lost, but because she's already ruled something out. She may not know who she wants to move toward, but she knows who she doesn't want to move forward with. And that decision often happens long before attraction ever becomes visible. Think about it. She says she's unsure, yet her energy changes. She says she needs time, yet distance grows. She says she doesn't know what she wants, yet something in her behavior feels final. That's because uncertainty and elimination are not the same thing. One looks open, the other is quiet, and men mistake the quiet for possibility. When a woman says she doesn't know what she wants, she's telling the truth, but not the part you think matters. The truth isn't about desire, it's about removal. This video isn't about what women want. It's about how they eliminate men long before they ever choose one. The first hidden truth rewires how you should interpret female decision-making entirely. Women don't move through attraction by searching for the right man the way men imagine. There is no internal list she's comparing you against, no checklist she's trying to complete. What happens instead is quieter and far more decisive. She removes men, one by one, based on how they affect her internal balance. Selection feels risky because it requires commitment, movement, and consequence. Elimination feels safe because it reduces pressure and restores control. And under uncertainty, safety governs female psychology far more than desire ever does. This is why men misread hesitation as openness. From your perspective, uncertainty means the decision hasn't been made yet. From hers, uncertainty often means the final choice hasn't been made, but several options have already been discarded. She's not standing at the starting line wondering who to choose. She's standing at the end of a narrowing corridor, having already closed multiple doors without announcement. Men and women move in opposite psychological directions here. Men move toward what they desire. You feel attraction. You advance. You test possibility through action. Women move away from what disturbs their internal state. The first filter isn't attraction, it's tolerance. Does this man feel heavy? Does he create pressure? Does being around him require emotional management? If the answer is yes, elimination happens quietly, even if attraction existed briefly. You've seen this in real life. A woman might enjoy a man's presence, even feel chemistry, and still remove him from consideration because something about the dynamic disrupts her equilibrium. Not because he did something wrong, but because he triggered internal tension she doesn't want to carry forward. And once elimination happens, behavior changes before words do. She becomes less available, less engaged, less responsive, while still appearing unsure. This is why waiting rarely works. You're waiting for selection to happen, while she's already completed elimination. And the reason this truth matters is simple: attraction begins with desire, But choice begins with rejection. Until you understand how women decide who doesn't move forward, you'll keep misinterpreting uncertainty as opportunity. Once you see elimination for what it is, the fog lifts. You stop chasing clarity that isn't coming, and you start understanding where the decision actually took place long before it was ever spoken. When men hear the phrase, "I don't know what I want," they hear indecision, uncertainty, a mind still open, still weighing options. But in reality, that sentence is rarely about confusion. It's a filter, a quiet risk assessment process running in the background. She isn't asking herself what to move toward yet. She's deciding what she refuses to carry forward. At this stage, she knows more than she admits. She knows who feels heavy, not dramatic, not abusive, just emotionally weighty. Conversations that require effort instead of flow, energy that drains instead of stabilizes. She knows who disrupts her internal equilibrium, even if she can't explain why. And she knows who already feels like work, not future work, present work. Emotional management, reassurance, explanation, adjustment. Those men are filtered out long before attraction ever gets discussed. This is why her behavior changes without a formal rejection. You don't get a clean ending because she isn't ending something you're being excluded. Slowly, quietly. She chooses slow fades instead of direct rejection because elimination feels safer than confrontation. She keeps options undefined because definition creates responsibility. She creates emotional distance without explanation because explaining would require engaging with a decision she's already made internally. From the outside, it looks like mixed signals. From the inside, it's containment. She's reducing exposure to something that doesn't feel right to carry forward. And the more a man pushes for clarity at this stage, the more he confirms the very weight she's trying to remove. Questions feel like pressure. Explanations feel like obligation. Emotional availability starts to feel like a future burden instead of a present connection. This is why waiting in this phase rarely works. You're waiting for desire to crystallize, while she's already completed the risk scan. The filter has done its job. What remains is politeness, not possibility. Interest may linger briefly, but momentum is gone. She may not know what she wants to move toward, but she knows exactly what she doesn't want to carry. Once you understand that, the phrase loses its mystery. You stop hearing it as an invitation to stay. You hear it as information clear, quiet, and final in the way only elimination can be. The third hidden truth cuts deeper because it shifts the focus away from you entirely. Women don't eliminate men based on traits the way men assume. It's rarely about looks, money, or status in isolation. Those are surface-level explanations that feel safe because they're measurable. The real decision happens somewhere far more personal. Women eliminate men based on how they feel about themselves when they're around him. Pay attention to that distinction. A woman doesn't ask, "Is he good enough?" She asks, unconsciously, "Who do I become around him?" If the answer feels wrong, elimination follows even if attraction exists, even if chemistry is present, even if, on paper, he makes sense. Because attraction can be tolerated briefly, self-discomfort cannot. This is where most men misread rejection. They think they failed to impress. In reality, they triggered an internal state she doesn't want to live in. Feeling smaller around a man doesn't always mean he's dominant. It can mean she feels unseen, uncertain, or emotionally diminished. Feeling anxious doesn't mean he's dangerous. It can mean the dynamic destabilizes her sense of control. Feeling pressured doesn't require ultimatums. Sometimes it's the quiet weight of expectation, of needing to reassure, explain, or manage someone else's emotions. Feeling emotionally responsible is often the fastest elimination trigger of all. And none of this requires bad intentions from either side. A man can be kind, attentive, even deeply invested, and still create a version of her that feels tense, restricted, or burdened. When that happens, her nervous system starts pulling away long before her mind forms a narrative. She doesn't analyze it. She removes herself from the environment producing that state. This is why arguing logic never works at this stage. You're defending who you are, while she's responding to who she feels like she has to be around you, and that gap can't be closed with reassurance or effort. It only widens. A woman doesn't walk away from a man. She walks away from who she becomes around him. Once you understand that, rejection stops feeling random or cruel. It becomes precise. And more importantly, it stops being something you try to talk your way out of, because it was never about persuasion in the first place. The fourth hidden truth is the one men resist the most, because it punishes the very behavior they were taught would save them. The men who try the hardest are often the first to be eliminated, not because their effort goes unnoticed, but because effort sends a signal most men never intend to send. It signals emotional dependence. And emotional dependence doesn't feel like care on the receiving end. It feels like future weight. When a man overinvests early explaining himself, clarifying intentions, adjusting constantly, he believes he's proving value. What she feels instead is pressure. Not overt pressure, but the quiet sense that she is becoming emotionally responsible for how he feels. His mood begins to mirror her responses. His stability begins to rely on reassurance. And without a word being spoken, a calculation happens. This will require management. Dependence doesn't register as romance in her nervous system. It registers as obligation, a future burden. Something she will have to carry, regulate, and stabilize. And once a man is perceived as weight, attraction doesn't fade slowly. Elimination accelerates. You see this pattern everywhere. The man who over-explains after a small misunderstanding. The man who seeks reassurance when energy shifts. The man who tries to be enough by giving more, listening harder, waiting longer. None of these actions are wrong in isolation. But together, they form a pattern of emotional gravity. She begins to feel that being close to him means holding him up. This is why effort backfires. Not because women dislike care, but because excess emotional output feels like future dependency. She doesn't consciously think. He's too invested. She feels something subtler tension, a sense that pulling away will cause disruption. And that sensation alone is enough to trigger elimination. Men assume they're eliminated for lack of interest. That if they had just tried more, explained better, stayed longer, things would have turned around. The truth is harsher and cleaner. Women don't eliminate men for lack of interest. They eliminate men for excess emotional weight. Once that weight is felt, it's almost impossible to undo. Because even if attraction existed, the nervous system now associates closeness with burden. And no amount of reassurance can make someone want to carry something they've already decided to put down. The fifth hidden truth is the one that hurts the most, because it explains why getting her back almost never works. Once a woman eliminates a man, attraction rarely recovers. Not because she's stubborn, not because she's cruel, but because elimination doesn't happen at the level of conscious choice. It happens at the level of the nervous system. And once safety flags appear, that system closes quietly and decisively. This is why comebacks fail. Elimination isn't a mood that can be reversed with better behavior or a stronger explanation. It's a subconscious decision that proximity is no longer emotionally safe or worthwhile. Once that signal is sent internally, the body stops responding the way it used to. Curiosity shuts down. Tension disappears. What replaces it isn't anger or disgust, it's neutrality. And neutrality is almost impossible to revive attraction from. Men misread this stage because the external behavior doesn't look final. She stays polite. She stays friendly. She may even stay warm in small doses. She doesn't slam the door. She doesn't create conflict. She stays vague enough to avoid confrontation. And men interpret that vagueness as openness. They think, if she's still talking to me, there must still be a chance. But internally, the door is already shut. What remains isn't attraction, it's social courtesy, a desire to exit without drama, to soften the ending, to avoid hurting someone who hasn't done anything overtly wrong. And that softness is what keeps men stuck. They mistake kindness for possibility. This is where the timelines differ. Men think attraction fades slowly, through arguments, distance, or mistakes. Women eliminate quickly, then soften the exit. The emotional decision happens early and quietly. The explanation, if it ever comes, arrives much later, if at all. That's why sudden self-improvement, emotional speeches, a renewed effort almost never work. You're trying to reignite a response in a system that has already powered down. And the more you try to reopen it, the more you confirm the reason it closed in the first place. Once you understand this, you stop chasing reversals. You stop trying to revive what has already been internally concluded. And that awareness, painful as it is, saves you from wasting time fighting a door that was closed long before you ever touched it. This truth is rarely discussed because it dismantles the fantasy that keeps men comfortable and stuck. The fantasy says attraction is something you earn by performing correctly, by saying the right things, by being patient enough, understanding enough, available enough. That story feels hopeful, but it's misleading. The idea of elimination replaces romance with realism. And realism is harder to sell because it demands responsibility instead of reassurance. Understanding elimination forces men to stop performing and start self-regulating. Performance is outward-facing. It asks, how do I appear? How do I keep her interested? What should I do next? Self-regulation turns the focus inward. It asks, am I stable? Am I grounded? Am I creating weight or ease? That shift is uncomfortable because it removes the illusion of control through effort. You can't perform your way out of elimination. You can only avoid it by being internally solid. This truth also makes validation seeking ineffective. Once you understand how women eliminate, chasing approval stops making sense. You realize that reassurance doesn't build attraction, it increases pressure. Explaining yourself doesn't create clarity, it adds emotional load. Waiting doesn't signal patience, it signals dependence. And once you see that pattern clearly, you can't unsee it. The behaviors that once felt romantic start feeling counterproductive. This is why many conversations avoid this topic without meaning to. It's easier to talk about confidence, communication, or timing. Those ideas preserve the fantasy that the right move at the right moment changes everything. Elimination psychology removes that comfort. It shows that many decisions are made silently, early, and emotionally long before logic enters the room. Understanding elimination changes how men move. You stop hovering. You stop auditioning. You stop shaping yourself around someone else's uncertainty. You move with more restraint, more clarity, and less emotional noise. And in doing so, you stop handing over leverage you didn't realize you were giving away. Once you understand how women eliminate, you stop auditioning for approval. Not because you've become colder, but because you've become steadier. You no longer chase interest where tolerance has already failed. And that alone puts you in a position most men never reach: calm, self-directed, and no longer confused by outcomes that were never yours to control. At the end of this, it's important to understand what this knowledge is actually for, because it's easy to misread it as cynicism. This isn't about manipulating attraction, withholding emotion, or turning yourself into something artificial. Manipulation is still dependence, just disguised. This is about avoiding elimination by becoming lighter to be around, not more impressive to look at. Attraction can be unpredictable. Elimination is not. And once you understand the difference, you stop fighting the wrong battle. Most men exhaust themselves trying to be chosen. They adjust, explain, wait, and overextend, believing selection is the goal. But selection happens late. Elimination happens early. And elimination is triggered not by lack of desire, but by excess weight, emotional weight, expectational weight. The subtle sense that being close to you requires management. The moment you internalize this, your focus shifts. You stop asking, "How do I make her want me?" and start asking, "Am I easy to move with or heavy to carry?" Being unburdening doesn't mean being distant or unavailable. It means you don't require regulation. Your mood doesn't hinge on her responses. Your direction doesn't pause when she's uncertain. Your identity doesn't shrink when clarity disappears. You show interest without attachment, presence without pressure, engagement without expectation. And that combination is rare, not because it's difficult to perform, but because it requires internal stability. This is where bitterness dissolves. When you stop seeing outcomes as personal failures and start seeing them as filtering processes, resentment has nothing to feed on. If someone eliminates you, it doesn't mean you weren't enough. It means the dynamic created a version of her or of you that wasn't sustainable. And that information is valuable, not insulting. Women may not know what they want, but they always know what they refuse to tolerate. And when you stop giving them reasons to eliminate you by removing emotional excess, dependency, and pressure, you stop chasing clarity altogether. You no longer need explanations to move forward. You move because you're intact.